So, Dune Part 2 is finally here, and I am so happy. I am giddy. Like, I don't even know how to describe how happy I am to have gotten to see this movie, to now know that this movie was excellent. This is an excellent film, and we will dive into why. But also to know that there will probably be a Part 3 coming that is even bigger and grander and could be better, maybe, possibly. First, let's just compare it to Part 1. You know, Part 1 spends a lot of time setting up this second part, and the setup totally pays off. So much more action in this second part, and it is just as good as the little bit of action that we did get in Part 1. It was so good and just like breathtaking. The cinematography was wonderful. The score, you know, they did it again with Dune. You know, they did it again. Denis is the best sci-fi director we have working right now, and he really proved it with this film. You know, it pulls little bits and pieces out of his previous filmography that you can kind of see in this film. I saw a lot of Sicario here, which I thought was really interesting. A bit of Arrival, a bit of Blade Runner, just little bits and pieces of Denis' work all coming together in this Part 2. And it was just flawless, you know, like I can't really think of any issue I had with this film, aside from maybe wanting it to be a little bit more intense and wanting there to be more tension. I feel like it was pretty easy to predict what was gonna happen, and even though the journey was incredible, the journey was epic, and I'm going to watch this journey in theaters probably at least 3 more times, I wish that there was more tension, because I didn't really feel the tension until about the final 10 minutes. And in those final 10 minutes, the scale shrunk down a lot. You know, like it went from this like really grand thing to something that was a lot more personal. And to me, that's when the tension really came to light. But I find that to be okay, especially because in Part 3, I suspect there to be a lot more tension in play. I hope Denis takes a few years, you know, makes 1 or 2 non-Dune films, but then I'm so excited for him to come back, because Part 3 is going to be epic, and it's going to be incredible, and I think it's going to be a lot more intense than this part was. The experience of watching this movie on the big screen, I didn't get to see it on IMAX this time around. I actually saw it at a pretty small indie theater here in Ithaca on a screen that wasn't necessarily that big, but I was still really able to enjoy this movie. If you can't see it on that big of a screen, that's totally okay. This is just, it's such a good movie where it doesn't matter how you see it. You can still just feel how grand and incredible this film is. This is the power of filmmaking. This is the power of cinema. This is why I love film. It is this movie and movies like it. I think Part 1, the performances were a lot more subtle, they were a lot more subdued, and here you really get to feel how good of an actor Timothee Chalamet is, because you really see his transition from being this little boy into being this messiah, into being this leader, you know, and that transition is just executed so well in his performance. Rebecca Ferguson, like, oh my God, you know, her transition, it's a huge transition here. And yeah, I mean, it was really just well acted. You know, I keep saying well acted, but that's because it was, and that's just, both of them were so good in this movie. I think their performances were a big step up from Part 1. I hope they get Oscar attention, because they both would deserve it. Also, Austin Butler. I need to talk about Austin Butler, because he was terrifying. You know, he just encapsulates that psychoticness of his character. He felt like such an equal to Timothee Chalamet. Thank you, Denis Villeneuve, because you are incredible. And thank you for shifting to sci-fi, because yes, Denis' drama films were great, but his sci-fi films are just on another level. And I will talk more about him and his filmography when I do a Denis ranked video sometime later this month. But for now, that's all I'm going to say with Denis. This movie should kill at the Oscars. It should really do a lot of damage. I don't see it being like as strong as Oppenheimer has been this year or something, but it'll do more than Part 1 did, I think. Because this movie is just, it's better, it's bigger, and it's more impressive. Part 1 was great and left me impressed. This film was excellent and left me floored. It's a 5-star movie. Please, if you haven't seen this movie yet, what are you doing? Go see this movie. If you have an IMAX theater near you, go see it in IMAX. But just go and see this movie, and then see it again and again. And let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I want to know everything you're thinking about this film. I really want to talk about it with as many people as possible. So please, talk about it with me. I'll see you all in the next movie review. Take care.